Kanu and Fatima live at the mercy of the elements. In this forest hut, the rain doesn't stay outside, and the physical toll of Kanu's labor as a woodcutter never quite pays enough to fix the roof. This constant strain has turned their marriage into a series of predictable conflicts. Every meager meal is seasoned with the bitterness of what they lack, making their shared life feel as fragile as their shelter. Their situation is a cycle where material lack and emotional friction feed into each other. They operate under the belief that if this external arrow, the wealth fix, could just land, the entire internal loop of resentment would simply vanish. At this stage, their exhaustion has reached a point where any potential solution is filtered through a lens of suspicion and anger. While working in the forest, Kanu reaches a breaking point. Overwhelmed by the heat and the prospect of returning to another argument, he drops his axe and declares that he would rather his life end right there than continue this way. A figure appears, bathed in an otherworldly light, and offers a way out. Kanu is granted 3 wishes, unconditional power to reshape his reality as he sees fit. This windfall introduces a new kind of pressure. Kanu now holds absolute power, but he is still the same man, driven by immediate impulse and long-standing resentment. Initially, Kanu and Fatima attempt to be strategic. Back at the hut, they discuss a new life of permanent security, imagining a future with a solid home and fine clothes. But as they describe these grand, distant goals, Kanu is still sitting at his table, chewing on a piece of dry, unappealing bread. This graph shows how a single physical craving can derail a long-term plan. The moment Kanu thinks of hot Sikh kebabs, his hunger overrides his logic. He speaks the wish aloud, trading 1/3 of their fortune for a plate of meat. Long-term reasoning vanishes when immediate discomfort takes hold. The grand plan for wealth is leveled by a single, momentary desire. Fatima's reaction is instantaneous. Seeing a miracle wasted on a snack, she slams her hands onto the table and begins a furious critique of Kanu's intelligence, unable to stop her anger even as more is at stake. Kanu's own defensiveness takes over. Instead of apologizing or trying to save the remaining wishes, his resentment toward her voice becomes his primary focus. In a fit of spite, he uses the second wish to command that the kebabs stick to Fatima's face. Their internal toxicity is now a physical reality. This shows how quickly anger can turn a resource into a weapon. They are willing to use their own miracles to inflict pain on one another, even when it actively destroys their own future. Panic sets in as the magic takes hold. Fatima is left physically deformed by the result of Kanu's temper. The realization hits them both. Every remaining dream of wealth and status is meaningless if they cannot even maintain their own physical health. Kanu's anger evaporates, replaced by a sense of horror at what his impulsivity has done to the person closest to him. To fix the damage, they have only one move left. Step 3 isn't a wish for gold or power. It is a desperate attempt to return to the way things were. Kanu wishes for the kebabs to vanish, spending the last of their magic to undo a mistake made only moments ago. Their encounter with absolute power concludes exactly where it started, spending their entire windfall to return to 0. When the figure in the forest is gone, the physical reality of the hut remains unchanged. The roof still leaks, and the poverty is just as persistent as before. While their surroundings are the same, the way they perceive them has been altered. The near loss of their health and safety has forced them to see their original life in a new light. The scarcity that once drove them to bicker now feels like a stable baseline compared to the disaster they nearly created. The domestic atmosphere changes. Fatima performs her daily work with a rhythmic precision, as the constant bickering over what they lack has finally ceased. They have reached a point where the simple absence of a crisis feels like a victory. The miracle provided a glimpse of a much darker reality, and in doing so, it made their original, ordinary life feel like a safe harbor. They walked away with the knowledge that, as difficult as things are, they could have been much worse.